So, you're not quite sure what Zend Server is. Or, you've downloaded and installed Zend Server but don't know where to start. Buckle in, you're about to discover how Zend Server is going to help you write better code faster and deliver it into production in a snap. Your apps will never be the same again. In a good way, of course. Use Zend Server's innovative new technology, Z-Ray, to get unprecedented visibility inside apps while you develop them, by showing you in real time all the underlying details involved in constructing each page. Z-Ray monitors requests made to your web server and displays detailed, relevant and live information on your code right in front of you in your browser. No further setup or configurations are required. Simply sit back and enjoy the flow of information. This information includes request info, SQL queries, errors and warnings, functions and plenty more. Using Z-Ray, you'll be able to identify issues early on in development and way before you go into production. Z-Ray also supports off-the-shelf PHP apps and frameworks, with plugins for Magento, WordPress, Drupal, Laravel and more, extending Z-Ray's functionality and displaying additional app or framework related data. Using the new plugin gallery, you can browse and install additional plugins developed and shared by the community. Want to create your own plugin? No problem. You can show whatever information you want in Z-Ray using our APIs available on GitHub, and then easily install your plugin in Zend Server or upload it to the gallery for all to use. And information on non-browser based requests is also tracked and displayed in the Zend Server UI on the Z-Ray Live page, so you can see live info on APIs, web services and mobile requests as well. First, package up your apps using Zend Server's SDK. Then you can use Zend Server to validate prerequisites, run deployment scripts and automate the deployment process. Already have apps that you'd like to manage with Zend Server? No problem. You can integrate them into the Zend Server Management UI with one simple click, bringing real agility to your IT operations. Either way, now Zend Server is able to give you app-by-app metric dashboards, monitoring, caching and more. If you use Zend Framework, Symfony, or any other set of library functions and classes, including your own custom libraries, you can use Zend Server to deploy, manage and update them. Now you don't have to worry about collisions between different library versions, or the hassle of patching libraries inside each app. Instead, you have a set of centrally managed libraries to update in one place. And updating is easy. Zend Server checks to see if new versions of libraries are available and seamlessly plugs them in. Now that your apps are managed by Zend Server, you can make sure that any errors or performance problems are identified. If you're concerned about slow page loads, you can enable an event rule that will identify any slow request execution. Choose which level of event you want to define, specify the parameters that define how long a request can take, and choose what action should be taken when this event is triggered. A particularly useful action is to record a code trace giving you all the information you need to diagnose the problem. Like the black box data recorder on an airplane, code traces allow you to see what went wrong after the fact. They're triggered by events, though they can also be run manually against a URL. For this code trace, we can see a function-by-function breakdown of the request's PHP execution. Because it was triggered by a slow request execution event, it's particularly useful to note the time elapsed after every step of the way. And sorting by time shows us exactly where in the code the slowdown had occurred. Want to know your application's average response time? How about the most time-consuming URL? The Zend Server dashboard gives you critical data on back-end performance as well as useful information on your users, like browser and operating system distribution, mobile usage and more. And URL Insight gives you reports on specific requests for PHP pages on your server, giving you actionable insight you can use to analyze the performance of your app and server, and allowing you to find those bottlenecks in your code. Once you've seen where in your application the bottlenecks lie, you can use Zend Server's page caching to vastly improve performance. Specify the URL for caching, either an exact URL or by matching a regular expression. Then add conditions like values in the session or in cookies. So for instance, an e-commerce catalog could cache each individual item for sale separately, making sure to fetch fresh page contents based on a logged in user. And don't worry if you have multiple apps managed by Zend Server that require different caching conditions. Caching rules can be either global or only for specific application. Zend Server's job queue allows you to run PHP scripts asynchronously, removing bottlenecks from your code. You can, for instance, set up a database backup job to run nightly. Just specify the URL of the script to be executed and the schedule. You can also programmatically create jobs from inside your app using the job queue API. This allows a task like credit card processing to take place without forcing the user to wait for it to return. And of course, you can see the result of all successful or failed jobs and requeue them if necessary. And you can create multiple job queues with different priorities and settings. So for example, you can have a set of maintenance jobs running on a low priority and a set of credit card validation jobs running in a separate queue with different settings and a very high priority. The Zend Server audit trail will let you know if anyone has changed a PHP directive or the configuration of a Zend component, either through the UI, using an API, or even via the file system. Want to be in the loop 24/7? No problem. Configure Zend Server to send you an email for each action performed and tracked. The Zend Server Notification Center will help to keep you up to date with live errors and will point you to the prescribed actions to counter them, making sure the issue is identified quickly and solved painlessly. You've fine-tuned and tested staging settings. I would now like to copy them to your production environment. Zend Server allows you to export and import your PHP and System configurations with just a few clicks. In a matter of minutes, the imported settings, including PHP extension directives, Zend component directives, and your customized monitoring and caching rules will be applied across your cluster. Want to start from a clean slate? Simply reset your configurations. Want to scale up your operation? It's time to create a multi-server cluster. You can either add another server to your new or existing clustered environment, or join your server to another cluster. In either case, once joined or added, the cluster settings will be applied across the board, making sure all servers are following the same orders. Once created, your cluster can easily be scaled up and down from the UI or the supplied Zend Server SDK, ensuring your applications have the firepower they need for maximum performance and availability. You're now ready to take your PHP apps to the next level. Zend Server gives you the power to make good apps great.